on the telephone. Daryl, good evening. Thank you for joining us here on Ghana Tonight.
Good evening, Alfred. I'm very happy to be here. I believe you are great.
I'm well, thank you. Thank you so much for joining us here on Ghana Tonight. First, let's start from what you're doing in the Ebuakwa South municipality. We've seen a task force set up by the Municipal Assembly, but then you're also complementing their effort. Now, how impactful has that task force been, especially in clamping down on galamsey activities in the municipality?
Thank you, Alfred. I think, yes, we've seen some renewed fight by the Municipal Assembly led by the Honorable Minister, the Honorable MC. And I think that, I can say when they were on the field, you could see that people were clearing from the various mining sites. I think it's a good thing that has been started, and just as we've been demanding, we think that the government needs to give most of these MCs and DCs some KPIs that are tied to rating their municipalities of galamsey. So to see that the Honorable MC is taking steps to rate the municipality of galamsey is very good. But I think the other discussion on as to whether it's been impactful or not is something that we also need to discuss, because, we could see that even though the Honorable MC is doing his best, what we saw and on the ground is that we are not getting the support from the police as should be the case. And that is how come you saw a lot of people, even though they're being chased around and all of that, with the team trying to arrest some of these illegal miners. They weren't really that successful. They only arrested a few people. But most people, even though they saw their equipment on site, they couldn't do anything because the police was following them, but very passive in the whole process. So it's a good move that the MC wants to do something, but if you don't have the concerted effort of the police, other enforcement agents backing him, it's going to be a very difficult thing to do.
I see. Now, you talk about how the situation, as we're seeing now on the screen, the extent of devastation that these illegal miners have caused to water bodies and the forest reserve there. Is it one that this task force, from what you do know, because you're working with them or collaborating with them, can really clamp down on the magnitude of this problem in the area?
Yes, Alfred, I think you're right. This part of the eastern region has not been spared galamsey. I can say that a lot of the hardcore miners can be found in these areas all the way to the Kwabing-Atiwa West area and all of that. With and Fantiakwa district as well, Usino, Insutem, all those areas are very close to the enclave. And the kind of mining going on, there's a lot of impunity. Miners are taking over community lands and also destroying water bodies. The MC cannot do all of this without support from some very, I would say, targeted or experienced team coming in from, say, 9 months to help address this. The local team, they are doing their best, but like I said, even with the local team, they are not getting the full force of the police behind them. So it's not really working as well. You rather see the NIB, you see the fire service, and some members of the municipal assembly doing their best. But so far, I think the police participation in the process has been very passive, and things. These miners are still moving their equipment, moving their trommels, moving their excavators from one point to the other. And even though the police are constantly on the road they have a lot of checkpoints, we are not seeing a lot of activities or interest to actually address the illegality. So I think this is where, no matter how the MC tries his best, it's still going to be very, very difficult. That's why we need to have some more dedicated team like 9 months to come into the region and try to rid the region of these illegal miners who are really destroying a lot of lands and rivers with impunity.
Ebuakwa area, give us an idea, a picture of the extent of this destruction caused by galamsey that we're talking about, specific to, for instance, the Itiwa forest and these other areas that you work with.
Yes, Alfred, I think when you come to these areas, because this area also has got the Daisy River the Birim River, also the Ayensu. You've been talking these days about Kwenyako, the people in the central region not getting water and all of that. They actually get their water from Ayensu River, which comes from that river forest. And a lot of the people also in the eastern region, from here all the way to Chebi, all the way to Kofori, but they also benefit from the Birim River as well. And then there's the Densu, which comes all the way. Now, the Densu, which comes from Potuase, south of the Atuwa Forest, for example, all those forested areas that were close to the river, protecting the river, has all been degraded now. Areas surrounding the Densu area has been mined, especially in Potuase community, moving down there. And then also along the Birim also, there's quite a lot of mining activities polluting it. So as I speak now, we can even say that the Chebi water treatment facility is operating at minimum capacity. And then we also have all these issues with the Insutem area of Sidon. When you're driving from Accra going to Kumasi, you get to Enyinem, you see the state of the Birim there. So really, it's really a very bad situation. And now what is common to see along the highway is people use aluminum sheets to try to block the activities from the drivers and all of that. So you'll be driving, you see roofing sheet being used to block a section of the road on the side of the road. You think there's some building construction going on. No, that is all illegal mining activities, trying to prevent drivers and all road users from seeing the illegality that they are doing. So I think it's really bad. And the fact that we don't really see any serious activities to clamp down on illegal activities in these areas so makes it a problem, because it creates a lot of impunity. And that's how come in these areas, a lot of these miners are moving equipment and nobody is doing anything. So, like I said, the MC is doing his best, but he will really need a lot more support than what he has going on with at the local level. That's why we have always been saying that NIMOS must come in with a lot of the agency that is needed to clamp down on all of it. And I think that when they come, they shouldn't really let anybody, and to make sure they see the excavators, they see trommels and all of that. And there are a lot of people also now producing and manufacturing the trommels for washing the gold on site. And for me, it's quite surprising, even though there's an act at 995 which forbids anybody from fabricating equipment. This is happening broad daylight by the roadside. Right from right from Mosino, you see people doing construction work. So I think that there's a lot more to be done in this particular area in dealing with the galamsey menace.
It's important that you reference the Ayensu River, because, as you indicated, that's the source for the Kwenyako headworks that has been shut down as a result of the increasing turbidity, the pollution of that water that has led to the breakdown of that treatment plant. That's led to some water crisis in a number of communities in the central region, including the Afutu and other areas. Galamsey, as far as we do know, doesn't take place in Kwenyako and its environs. But the Ayensu River, which is the source for these headworks, is in the eastern region where galamsey is taking place. So that's the source of the pollution that has led to this shutdown of the headworks, isn't it?
Yes, they're very correct. And so there's a lot of mining going on at Enuma Pepe, which is actually sitting very close to the Ayensu River. So they are really doing a lot of the illegal activities and then affecting the people downstream, which is the central region, and all those dependent on the river downstream now. So actually, that is actually the sad situation of the whole galamsey thing, because there are people upstream doing all the illegalities and a lot of people downstream who are not involved, but have to suffer for it. And that is how come you see people mining in the Pra River. Even though there are a lot of communities that depend on the river, they are downstream, they are not really engaged, but they are affected. It's the same with the Densu. If people start mining in Potuase, for example, where the Densu comes out of the Atuwa Forest Reserve, then people downstream, people at Nkoko, people at Nsawam, and then people in Accra who depend on the reservoir at the Makati area or Weja area will also be affected. So I think that we really need to pay attention to the galamsey issue. Unfortunately, we are not getting the necessary decisive actions because our leaders are playing with it, and their solutions are there, but we are deliberately beating around the bush and not getting these issues on. So, I said it's a very, very serious situation. So, for me, we've been doing this advocacy for so long. We've been trying to warn the government that, look, the fact that we are being negligent in dealing with this matter is going to bring serious consequences, not just for those who are upstream, but also for us downstream who have nothing to do with galamsey. And that is why there's also issues of food poisoning and likely to be coming out of a lot of the contamination of our food system also because of galamsey. So I said it's really bad. The people in the Central Region, unfortunately, have to suffer from the illegalities that is happening at the Nima Pepin on the Ayenzu River.
And Daryl, quickly, before I let you go, when you, together with the task force in this Ebuakwa South Municipal Assembly, we're going around tracking the activities of illegal miners, we understand the drone that you're using was destroyed by these illegal miners. That's earlier. We have a video of that. Let's take a look at this. This is what the 1957 that's news put out there on what has what happened to your drone. Now, tell us exactly what happened. Did they really shoot down your drone?
Oh yes, I think the team was working with a team structured out by the MC, and then as they were in the field, they went to one side, and as the people were running away, even though they saw the officers, they started running away. The drone was flying behind a hill, coming towards the site, and I think maybe because over the hill, the people could also see the drone far up there, they were able to shoot at it, and then it fell. So I think for a moment, I mean, we're not able to do anything with the drone. We have to recover it as you have seen. And so that, I mean, it all tells about the kind of impunity, even though they see that there are law enforcement officers on the ground trying to make sure this stops. These guys are so brazenly hardened that they will do whatever to even thwart the effort of enforcement actors. And this is where I think that we really have to take this issue very seriously. I think it's getting out of hand. The miners are getting so emboldened, and we are not very tough in terms of our actions to dealing with them. They'll think that they can always override security forces and all. So I think it's a sad development for us because I mean this drone has also been very useful in monitoring a lot of the illegal activities, also affecting the forest itself. And this is also where we have a big challenge because we've seen a lot of young men, they move into the forest by night, not with excavators, but they move into the forest using footpaths and trails in droves to go and mine in the forest in the night and come out by day. So the challenge is still there. The Forestry Commission, they have their team on the ground. They are doing their best, but I think this needs much more men on the ground to really get these guys out of the area. Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us here on Ghana Tonight. Daryl Bosu is the Deputy Director for Rocha Policy and also one of the major NGOs leading this fight, the CSO's advocacy, the fight against galamsey. Thank you so much for joining us here, Daryl Bosu.